Hello, friends. My name is Steve, and welcome to Steve Talks Books. Thank you for coming by. Watch my weekly update. It's where I talk about what I've been reading, what I'm going to read, what I won't get to, and everything else in between. If you'd like to connect with me, the best place is in our forum at pagechewing.com. So we have all of our bookish discussions. We have some reading groups. We have some writing groups. We have a movie club. We have some other fun stuff going on there. I find it hard to keep up. But that's the best place to find me. There's a great little community there that is away from all the other social media stuff. Everyone there is really friendly, really welcoming, and would love to have you drop by if that sounds interesting to you. I can also be found on VERO at that one MFer. That's my primary social media platform. That's where I spend the most time and put the most thought into. I post I post a picture every day. I post what I'm watching, what I'm listening to, pictures of my dogs, other stuff there. So that's another great place to find me. And I can also be found on YouTube at my other channel at Steve Talks Movies. I just finished the 32 videos in 32 days challenge. It was fun. I learned a lot, and thank you all for supporting me over there on that channel. It was a fun time, and I'm looking forward to more over there on that channel. I can also be found on Telegram at Steve Talks Books. We have a small book discussion group, so if you'd like to be added to that, if you're on Telegram, shoot a message over to me and I will add you to that group. So let's go ahead and get started with what I was reading last week. There's a lot of reading last week. I had to had to keep up. So this week we had our Dandelion Dynasty discussion with author Ken Liu early Saturday morning. You're watching this Sunday. We had that discussion over on Taylor's channel, and it was a unlisted stream, so people who read and who didn't want to be on camera can interact with us. So I had to be ready for that on Saturday morning. So I had to go through Speaking Bones. Speaking Bones pretty quick, and that is a beast of a book. So I spent a lot of time on the audiobook in my ear holes every minute I had. And with the Kindle version, just whenever I had a few minutes, I was listening or reading. And so the Dandelion Dynasty, of course, no spoilers. The Dandelion Dynasty, when I was done with it, right, when it was over, looking back on the entire series, it felt like I'd lived there. It felt like I wasn't reading a story about other people. It felt like I was there, like I was a part of it. Just how rich and lush and just immersive and just so much. There's just so much detail in that series, in those books, that it's like, these people, like all the characters feel real. The history feels real. It feels like a whole other world that you can just go visit. And Ken Liu had talked about during his time writing this series that he felt like he spent all these years in this world of Dara, and he was all by himself. And when he let everyone in, I kind of felt like when I started reading the series, I felt like I was in that, like I was visiting that place too. It's a hell of a series. It's a great series. I'm surprised it doesn't get more attention, to be honest. I think it's a lot better than a lot of other series that I've read that get a lot more attention. Like I said, no spoilers, but Wall of Storms is one of my all-time favorite books. One of my all-time favorites. The last two, The Veiled Throne and Speaking Bones, was originally going to be one book, but it would be over 2,000 pages, so it got cut in half and released in two separate books. That series, there's just so much history, and you start to reflect on your place in history, how you view history, experiencing all these changes in Dara and in this other world. You start to question how you view history in our own world. It's a weird thing. It just feels so real that it kind of hits close to home in that way. And I don't know if that sounds strange or not, but if you are at least curious about it, I would recommend giving it a read. And I will say that the first book reads a lot more like a history retelling. It's like recalling certain things that happened. And while I enjoyed it, the second book really makes the first one, it made the first one a lot more meaningful and enjoyable. And that may sound strange too, but The second book, once you get into the second book, you have a whole new perspective on the first book and why it was done that way. And I really enjoyed the first book. I had a lot more appreciation for it after the second book and then throughout the series. Looking back on that first book, it was just, I view it a lot differently now than when I just finished that one. So, yeah, great series. And that video should be up on Taylor's channel soon. It's a full spoiler-filled discussion, so just a heads up. But we will share that when it's up on her channel. This week, when I didn't have Clash of Kings in my ear holes, or I didn't have Speaking Bones in my ear holes, or reading that, when I just felt like I needed a break, like I needed something else, I was listening to Clash of Kings, the second book of the Song of Ice and Fire series. It's good. It's just I've seen this TV series a few times, so a lot of this stuff feels like I'm going through it again. And while there's some sections I really enjoy, there's some long sections of stuff that I'm not sure it's because I've seen the TV show so many times. Like I know what's going to happen most of the time. There's some long sections that are just kind of a slog. So it's good, but I kind of wonder what my view on it would be if I hadn't watched the series so many times and know a lot of these events. There are some differences, but it's pretty close. I hear that it deviates more and more the further you get into the books. So I didn't get a whole lot of Clash of Kings in, but I got a little bit this week. I did not read Berserk this week. We took the week off from our group read. We will be back next week for volume 5. And when I say volume, it's the volume in the deluxe editions. So it's volume 5 and deluxe edition 2. So if you'd like to catch up with us, it's a great time to try and catch up and join us next Sunday at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Come by and join our conversations. We're a friendly group. So there's more information on all of our group reads on the forums if you'd like to check those out. So this week, I will be continuing Clash of Kings. I have to get that finished up for that discussion coming up in a couple of weeks. So chipping away at that. And I will also be reading Berserk again. And I also read last week, The Great Ordeal. I read the first 3 chapters. So I read the first 3 chapters of The Great Ordeal. We had our discussion on Saturday with Daniel and Katerina. You will see that video next Friday. So we are back in the saddle. It was nice to get back to see those two again. I really missed seeing them and talking to them every week. I'm excited to continue with the series because I love the series, but a part of me doesn't want it to end because I like it so much. I like the series so much. And because I'm not sure what's going to happen with this podcast. I don't know. Seriously, it was great to see them again and to chat and just like, kind of catch up with what we've all been doing. So it was good stuff. But I'll be reading this week. We will be reading chapters 4 through 7. So we will have 1 through 3 posts this week, and then 4 through 7. That discussion will be next week. So if you are reading along with us, that's our schedule. The first 3, and then we have 4 through 7 the following week. I know there's a couple of you reading along, so I try to share that information with all of you to read with us. And of course, I will be reading Berserk Volume 5 in Deluxe Edition 2. So on the channel last week, we did have our usual Tuesday reading sprints, and we read the 3rd story, I believe, in the Paper Menagerie. It was very fitting. The story was very fitting with all the news, all the current events about AI and social media and security and that kind of thing. So it was very timely, and great. It was a really great story. So really enjoyed that one. It was hit a little close to home. But those are the best stories when they can make you, they hit close to home and they make you question things, or they kind of make you look inward and they make you see your own life and start to question things and your own decisions. So I thought, very, very good stuff. So this also on Tuesday, we have those. On Monday, I have an author interview with Robert Atone. I hope I'm not mispronouncing his name. Have a live author interview on Monday evening. So I haven't done one of these in a while, but it just kind of came together. And I think it'd be fun to do just like a get together or just to chat with Robert and to pick his brain and just kind of have a good time. And for those of you who have been around for a while, you pretty much know the format. It's going to be kind of a relaxed, casual meetup. So if you'd like to come by and join us, it is Monday at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Come by and interact with us. Plan to talk about his work and some other hobbies that we share common interest in. But come by and listen to that conversation. Love to have you if you are available. So Monday, author interview. Tuesday, we have our reading sprints. We'll be reading the next the story in the Paper Menagerie. Let me see if I get all these right. On Friday, we have the Great Ordeal chapters 1 through 3 will be posted. So if you're reading along with us, 1 through 3 will post this Friday on the podcast and on YouTube. And then on Friday night, we will have the Friday conversation with author Tom Reimer. I may have another guest or two, but so far Tom will be joining us. I may have another content creator or two to join, but we'll see how that goes on Friday night. We'll see what I can pull off. So last week for the Friday conversation, we had a discussion with Michael Sisko. I've known about Michael Sisko for a long time. I've spoke with his wife, VERO Smith. I'm a big fan of Farrah's writing. I think she has very, very underrated. Her short stories, there's some of my favorite short stories. They're spectacular. So it's great to be able to get to meet Michael Sisko and have a chat with him. We talked about horror. We talked about fantasy. We talked about humor in horror, how important it is, or is it important? We talked about writing fiction, nonfiction, weird fiction, short fiction, about being nominated for a Stoker Award. As usual, lots of different topics, but it was just as usual, a really great conversation. And when we can get people to talk, that's a good thing. And it always makes me laugh when we have a guest and they say, "I'm sorry for talking so much." It's like, no, we want you to talk. People are here to listen to you. So I always think that's kind of funny. But yeah, it was a great time. Thanks to all of you who came by to interact with us. Very thoughtful and just very insightful conversation about teaching, about publishing, about writing, about just a ton of different topics. So I'll let you go watch that if you're interested. But it's available on the podcast or on YouTube if you'd rather listen than watch. I'm trying to see what else we have planned this week. I think that's it. And then of course Berserk next Sunday at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We have that one. And I had to check the calendar to make sure I'm not missing anything, because I usually do. Next Saturday at, 11 a.m. Eastern Time, we'll be talking Clash of Kings. So come by if you've read that one. And then at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we will be discussing Uzumaki, and that'll be on Varsha's channel. I'll leave that channel down below. We will be discussing the manga Uzumaki. So if you are interested, come by, check that out. Like I said, I'll leave Varsha's channel down below. Reading by Rainy Mountain. I'd love to have you come by if you've read it or wanted to interact with us. Plan to do more of these manga and comic stuff. I think it's a nice little break from all the dense titles we've been reading. I think it was 2 weeks ago that I mentioned the idea of a kind of a last playlist, like a funeral playlist. And I'd had this in my head for a long time. I've been tossing songs around in my head for a long time, and I felt like I had a really good grasp on it. And now that I talked about it, I sit down to put it together, and I'm struggling with getting it finished. And this week had just been kind of a crazy week, and I just didn't have a whole lot of time to sit down and think about it. But I will have that soon, and as soon as I do, I will share. If any of you have a playlist, please share them with me. I love to listen to them. And I'm one of those people who used to make all these mixtapes and stuff. Raise your hand if you used to do that kind of stuff. I used to do a lot of traveling, a lot of driving time. And when I used to travel around a lot, around the state. So I made a lot of CDs to listen to. This is before you can throw like 1,000, you can throw 1,000 songs on your phone or stream or whatever, stream on Spotify. So I used to create these CDs, like road CD, like driving stuff. And I would be really particular about the order of the songs and all that stuff. Or, back in the day, we used to burn CDs or tapes or whatever for someone like was like something that I used to like to do, is like make like I don't know. It sounds silly now, but at the time it was cool. I don't know. Raise your hand if you did this stuff too. But anyway, I'm kind of taking that approach, as I want the order to make sense. I want it to kind of flow, and I think the last song is what I'm having trouble with. Like, what do I want to end on? And I have a couple, but I'm going back and forth. So I wanted to tell a story, but I'm struggling with the last song. Like, what's that order? The last couple. How do I finish off? What's the, when the curtain closes? What do you want that last song to be? That's what I'm wondering. Like, what to go out on? Yeah, it sounds silly. So anyway, when that's done, I'll share it with all of you, for those of you who are interested, if you are at all. My question for you this week is about sequels, book sequels. Has there ever been a book that you read, the first book in a series, whether it's a trilogy or a duology or whatever, a long series, anything that's a series, you read the first book, you really liked it, but you never picked up the second book? Like, maybe you even bought it, but you haven't read it. What's that book for you? I keep looking at my shelf, and I see Vicious on my shelf by V.E. Schwab, and I really like that book. It was one of the first books I read when I started the channel, and I was really impressed with V.E. Schwab's writing, and the style is a fun story, and it was a really good book. I really enjoyed it. So I went out and bought the second book, Vengeful, put it on the shelf, and I don't know why I've just never gotten to it. There's no reason why. Like, I really liked the first book. I was anxious to read the second book when I finished the first book. I just haven't gotten to it yet, and I don't know why. It's been almost 2 years, and I haven't gotten to it yet. I'm almost to the point where I have to reread the first book to remember all the things that happened. And there wasn't it's not like a really very dense book, but still wanted kind of that like refresher, and it wasn't a long book. So maybe I'll do that. But what's that book for you? What's the book you read in a series, and just for whatever reason didn't pick up that second book? What's that book for you? Let me know down below in the comments. One other thing I want to mention is Short Story Saturdays are back. I just recorded a short story for the first time in a long while. So I recorded Ashes to Ashes by Amy Grech, and I had this story in my inbox for many, many months. It was not, it just kind of sat there, and I apologize to Amy in the recording. It'll be on the podcast if anyone's interested in reading it. It's a really, or listening to it. It's a really short story, like 1,500 words. And I'd had this sitting there, and after the last story that I did, I decided to take a little break. And then I've mentioned this before, but the holidays in 2023, I was in a beginning, as the year has gone on, things have gotten a little bit better, but the holidays especially were a very dark time for me. Like, I wasn't in a good place. And so I didn't feel like I could do it. Like, it wasn't something I felt like I could do at the time. I just felt like I needed to wait. But I feel like it's something that I want to do again. So I feel like I want to get back in that saddle and give it a shot. So I don't know if I'll do weekly, but I'm going to try to do at least bi-weekly. I have another story in my queue to read, so I'm set for a little while. And it's funny because when I asked for short stories, I expected no one to answer, and a lot of people reached out and said they were offering their short stories to read, for me to read. And so I'm a little nervous to ask, because I get a ton of responses, and I feel bad saying no, or having a big pile of short stories to read. It was like, it's it's a lot. So I'm not sure how often it'll be, but I'll try and be regular with it. So check that out. If you're curious, I'll leave the link down below if you'd like to check it out. Speaking of, kind of dark times, it seems like a lot of people I know have been recently saying that they're just kind of having a rough go at it. Like, it's been kind of a difficult time. I think this time of year is like this weird time of year. So I've mentioned this before, but if anyone's out there who needs someone to talk to, or needs someone just to listen, or just someone to be there for them, it can make a really big difference, especially when you're struggling, or when you feel like you're, things are going on. You just need someone to be there for you. Reach out to me if you need someone to talk to. I'm judgment free. I've mentioned this before, but I feel like it's worth mentioning again that, if you feel like I can help, reach out, because I know how tough it can be to be in a dark place like that and not feel like anyone's there for you. Even if you don't take them up on the offer, knowing that they're there is like a comforting thing, if that makes sense. So yeah, just wanted to throw that out there again. I've heard a few people, and I've talked to a few people who have been having kind of a rough go, and it makes me feel good to be able to help people. So I don't mind. I'm judgment free. I'll just listen if that's what you need. So anyway, okay, that's out of the way. So I'd mentioned before about my time on VERO. I've been doing a lot of photography stuff, and I have a camera that I'm trying to use more often for not just streaming and doing this stuff. So I've been doing a lot of I've been looking into a lot of photography, and kind of getting, like, it's rejuvenated that desire for me. And I did pick up a lens this week. I'm not sure those of you who are familiar with this, but I wanted to share it just in case any of you are. I picked up a nifty 50. It's a 50 millimeter lens. So I picked this up. It's supposed to be a good, like, beginner lens. I wasn't sure what else to get. So I will be sharing my journey on VERO if you'd like to check it out. And I am featured on VERO under podcasts, which I blew my mind. It, like, made my day. There's a list of, like, featured users, and it has, like, cosplayers and reviewers and photographers and friendly connections and some other stuff. There's a section there for podcasts, and I check it every so often just to see, like, maybe I'll, and I checked, and I was there, and it's pretty neat. It's pretty cool. So I was really excited about that. Thanks to all of you who support me and the podcast. I really, really appreciate all of your support. But so yeah, I'll be sharing my experiences with that over on VERO. And if anyone is into photography, want to chat photography, let me know too. I'd be really interested in setting up like a Telegram group to chat photography. I think that'd be fun. So enough about me. How are you doing? What are you reading, watching, and listening to? How's your week been? How does March look for you? Is it busy? Is it clear? You have any plans coming up? It feels like the weather's in that weird place where it's trying to change. I guess some places of the country it's starting to change. It's just like a strange transitional time this time of year. But let me know how you're doing. Let me know what you're reading, watching, listening to. Anything good? I'm always open to suggestions. I find lots of good stuff, not only music but books and movies and all kinds of just a ton of stuff. So I always appreciate whenever you throw suggestions my way. It's always a good time just to interact with all of you and to hear from you. So, especially like the live streams or the reading sprints, it's great to see. Of course, it's always wonderful to see the same people show up, and I try to remember what everyone's reading, and then we have like the new faces that show up once in a while and interact with us, and it's just like it's great to feel like we're building something together, like we're building a little community and a little group of friends that we all talk to on a regular basis. So, but anyway, let me know down below how you're doing. What are you reading, watching, or listening to? I'd love to hear about it. So yeah, lots of stuff coming up. I do have the 24 days of A24, 24 A24 videos in 24 days on my other channel. I'm taking a little time off from doing it so much. That'll happen here next month. So I do have the list on our forum, and if anyone's interested in chatting about those movies, let me know, and we'll try to figure things out. I'm going to be kind of on a strict schedule because I have to fit them all in 24 days, but maybe we can work things out. So until next time, I hope all of you are having a great week. I hope you're all having a great day. I'd love to hear from you. Even if you don't comment, you just come by and watch. Thank you for your support and for your interactions. Just coming by and hanging out means the world. So until next time, I hope you all have a great week. We will talk to you soon.